I bought GTA 5 before it existed. Years before GTA 5 was released, shops in Belarus were already selling it. At least that it was a box set. The cover looked real. It had cars, guns, a big number 5 and all the energy a kid needed to believe it. So you gave the seller your money, ran home, put the disc into your computer, installed it and then... GTA San Andreas. Again. Maybe it had different cars, maybe the menu looked strange, maybe someone adds new textures or a giant number 5 on the screen. But it was still San Andreas. And the funny part is this was not even the strange thing about buying PC games in Belarus when I was a kid. I was born in 2002, my first family computer was not even bought for me. It was for my older sister, mostly for school and simple programs. It was a dirty white box with a yellow color to it, a matching keyboard, a mouse and a huge CRT monitor. Later my parents bought my sister a better computer. It was black, it ran Windows XP and to me it looks like something from the future. But today's standards, it was painfully slow. You could press the power button, go make tea, come back, and Windows would still be thinking about whether it wanted to start. But for me that computer was a door into another world. The problem was that I could not use it whenever I wanted. Computer time had to be earned. Wash the dishes? Maybe you get some time. Clean the apartment? Maybe a little more. Help around the house? Now we can talk. I was ready to wash a mountain of dishes if it meant I could play Spellforce, Mount Blade or whatever game I was obsessed with that week. And getting the computer was only the first problem. The next problem was getting the games. The internet existed, but it was very different from that we have now. We used prepaid internet cards. You bought the cards, got a code, entered it at home and received some time online. My older sister usually handled that part because I was still very young. What I remember is the speed. It was slow, really slow, and every minute felt expensive. Downloading a full PC games was not something I even thought about. So if you wanted a game, you bought the disc. And where did this disc come from? Underground passages, markets, tiny shops that looked like they could disappear the next day. I still remember one game shop in an underground passage in Minsk. The room was tiny. There was a counter and the walls were covered with CDs and DVDs. Some games came in cheap black plastic cases. The nicer ones came in clear square boxes. Every box had a printed cover, and those covers were magic. Explosions, soldiers, sport cars, monsters, cities, heroes. As a kid I could stand there and look at the boxes like I was in a museum. The problem was the cover was sometimes the most honest part of the whole product. Buying a game was a lottery. The game could work, the game could be broken, the disc could be sketched, a file could be missing, the game could ask for a serial code that was not inside the box. Or you could install and discover that it was not even the game you bought. I remember prices around 10 to 15,000 old Belarusian rubles. For me as a kid that felt like serious money. My parents did not want to buy games all the time, so every purchase was a big event. I had to choose carefully, but choosing carefully did not protect you from anything. One of my clearest memories is Mount Blade. I saved money for about a month. I bought a game, came home, installed it, and everything looked fine. Then I launched it. Activation code. Of course. There was no code in the box. No stickers, nothing on the disc. Nothing anywhere. I went back to the shop and asked for my money back. The seller said no. So I walked home feeling completely destroyed. A month of saving money and I could not even start the game. My older sister was at home. Now I'm sure she did not download any strange program from the internet to get around the activation code. Absolutely not. But somehow after she touched the computer, Mount Blade worked. To me, this was magic. At that age, I did not think my sister was simply good with computers. I thought she was the greatest programmer in human history. After that, I watched a truly stupid amount of dishes just to get more time with Mount Blade. And I still love that series today. Another classic product was a legendary 100 games on one disc. This sounded like the best deal in the world. One disc, 100 games. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Maybe 30 games would install. Maybe 2 or 3 were actually worth playing. The rest were strange puzzle games, broken demos, cheap strategy games, or things that looks like someone makes them during lunch. Then there were games I bought only because the cover looked amazing. The box could look like a Hollywood movie. Fire, guns, perfect screenshots, huge battles. Then you install the game and found 3 blocky characters fighting in an empty field. But nothing was more creative than fake GTA games. You could see discs called GTA 5, GTA Ultimate, GTA Criminal Russia, GTA Supercars, or some other titles that sounded just real enough for a kid. Most of them were in San Andreas with mods. Different cars, different textures, maybe a new map, maybe a strange menu, sometimes it was not even GTA. You could buy a box that looked like Grand Theft Auto and get a broken shooter nobody had ever heard of. After some time I learned not to trust those covers. But I still wanted to, because every new box gave you that little thought. Maybe this one is real. The Russian traditions were another adventure. GTA San Andreas was famous for this. Some pirates versions had subtitles that barely made sense. The words could be wrong, the sentence could be broken, and sometimes random profanity appeared where it clearly did not belong. As a kid I often had no idea what the missions wanted for me. So I learned another method. Drive somewhere, fail. Try again. Follow a car, fail. Try another road. Shoot the wrong person, fail again. Somehow after enough attempts, I understood the mission without understanding the translation. In a strange way, those terrible subtitles trained my problem-solving skills. And even the game inside was correct, you still had to survive the installation. Pirate Games installation was its own boss fight. You put in the disk, you started the installer, and then you waited. 10%, 30%, 70%, 99%, and then it stopped. Nothing moved. The computer made straight out. You started as a progress bar, like you could move it with your mind. Sometimes you restarted everything and hoped the second attempt would somehow be different. Sometimes it worked, sometimes the disk was scratched, sometimes there was a missing file, sometimes there was a virus. As a kid I did not care about viruses. If the game launched, the computer could be on fire and I would still call it a success. But the biggest gaming disappointment of my childhood was a GTA 4. My parents knew what GTA was, and they did not want me to buy it. So I saved money in secret for several months. When I finally had enough, I bought the disc and rushed home. My parents were at work. Perfect, I started the installation. The computer sounded like it's fighting for its life. The installer froze, I tried again. Error. I took out the disc, wiped it with my t-shirts, put it back in, and honestly believed I had repaired it. After several attempts, something amazing happened. It installed. Then the game launched. For a few seconds, I felt like I had won. Then reality arrived. My computer could not run GTA 4. I lowered every graphic settings. I lowered the resolution. I tried window edit mode. I changed everything I could understand. Nothing helped. The image looked like a moving pile of pixels. I had spent months saving money, secretly bought the game, found the installer, defeated the disk, and then my own computer turned into a lump of stone. I gave up. The strange part is that I later played almost every other GTA game, but I still never properly returned to GTA 4. I only noted that while writing this story. Maybe some childhood disappointments stay connected to a game forever. Of course, not every memory is bad. Some of those parodies introduced me to a game I still remember very clearly. Spellforce felt huge and mysterious. Reason felt like a real world, where even a random animal could destroy you. A Power Rangers game let two people play on the same keyboard, one with VSD and one with the arrow keys. When friends came over, that was enough for us. Games also moved from person to person. You lent a friend a disc at school or in the courtyard, and sometimes you never saw it again. I once gave a friend my copy of GTA. Years passed, the disc never came back. Later I accidentally took one of his flash drivers, so I think we're even. Sometimes a bad disc damaged the computer enough that my parents called the technician. The technician would arrive, install a pirated copy of Windows, install a pirated antivirus, and then charge very real money. It was a beautiful system. The only person who really lost was me, because after my parents heard that another game had broken the computer, I was not allowed near it for a long time. Pirate games were only one part of the whole media world around us. At markets you could buy blank-looking DVDs with music, cartoons, movies or full TV seasons. Sometimes I'm not sure even the seller knew exactly what was on the disc. People also copied movies and passed disc between families. One DVD could travel through a whole group of friends. Nothing was instant. Nothing was guaranteed, and almost nothing was original. Today everything is easier. I have fast internet, I have a modern computer, I can open a digital store, buy a game and download it without leaving my chair. That is better. I do not miss broken installers, I do not miss missing serial keys, and I do not miss viruses. I definitely do not miss starting at 99% for 20 minutes and praying. But I do miss one feeling. Back then one game could mean weeks of saving money. A trip across Minsk, a suspicious shop on the ground, a cover you could not trust, a slow installation, an error, a missing code, help from your older sister, and finally maybe a small miracle. By the time the main menu appeared, the game did not feel like another product in a library. It felt like treasure. And maybe that is why I can still see the shops, games those discs and those old Windows XP computers so clearly. Not because they were better, they were not, but because every game had a story before the game even started.